Thanks for joining us here on the CBN News Channel. I'm Ephraim Graham. The battle over gun control is heating up once again. Advocates on both sides say the next 2 weeks are critical as lawmakers head home, where they'll hear from their constituents right before an upcoming vote in the Senate. Heather Sells has the latest.
They're two of the loudest voices in the gun debate: New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg and Wayne LaPierre of the National Rifle Association. But now they say it's up to voters to make their views known to Congress. At stake, a Senate bill calling for expanded background checks for all gun purchases, tougher penalties for gun trafficking, and more money for school safety. The NRA calls the background checks a, quote, dishonest premise, noting that mental health records are exempt from databases and pointing out that criminals won't submit to the checks.
It slows down the law-abiding and does nothing to anybody else.
Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid has already dropped the ban on assault-style weapons, fearing it would sink the broader bill. His goal: debate and vote on the legislation next month. But as voters sort out the issue, they may encounter this: television ads and phone calls urging them to support the Senate bill. Bloomberg, a Republican turned independent, has just poured $12 million into TV spots and phone banks in 13 states.
I am cautiously optimistic. I think when you have an issue where 90% of the public, 80% of NRA members even, say that they think we should have reasonable checks before people are allowed to buy guns.
LaPierre, meanwhile, maintains that Bloomberg is trying to, quote, buy America, and that the public won't go along with it.
But he's going to find out this is a country of the people, by the people, and for the people. And he can't spend enough of his $27 billion to try to impose his will on the American public. We have people all over, millions of people, sending us $5, $10, $15, $20 checks saying, stand up to this guy.
The NRA says there should be better tracking of the mentally incompetent to keep guns out of their hands. The group also says the administration should enforce already existing federal gun laws. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Winter weather is not letting go of its grip on much of the country. It may be spring, but a snowstorm is hitting the central states and pushing east, enveloping West Virginia and Washington, D.C. People as far west as Colorado are digging out today. And emergency crews say the weather may be to blame for at least 2 deaths in car crashes in Kansas and Missouri. There are winter weather watches in at least 15 states today. The storm has even spawned severe weather where strong winds blew a tree into an apartment building in Atlanta.
I heard this cracking noise and it came tumbling down like the London Bridge.
St. Louis saw some of the highest snowfall, with as much as 14 inches by late Sunday. The Supreme Court's decision on gay marriage could lead to the erosion of religious freedom in America. Ed Whalen of the Ethics and Public Policy Center told the Civil Rights Commission any legalization of same-sex marriage must be accompanied by, quote, robust protections for religious liberty. Otherwise, religious groups who oppose same-sex marriage could face civil lawsuits and government penalties. This week, the Supreme Court hears 2 major cases that could decide the definition of marriage in America. And worries about threats to religious liberty have now reached one of the highest levels in Washington. Paul Strand was there as a special commission took up the issue of ways America may be discriminating against its own religious believers.
The U.S. Commission on Civil Rights is best known for its work fighting racial discrimination. But Commissioner Pete Kirsanow has become so worried about religious discrimination, he called for a special hearing of the commission.
There, I think, is a perception among many people, and not just people in the faith-based community, that government has been encroaching upon the expression of religious beliefs.
Others say this is much ado about nothing, like Americans United for Separation of Church and State.
Some people look at disputes over, say, crosses or 10 Commandments at a courthouse, or a prayer before a city council meeting that a court has struck down, and they'll say, that's a violation of religious liberty. I don't see it that way.
A main emphasis at the hearing was discrimination student religious groups have felt on college campuses. At universities like Tennessee's Vanderbilt, some have been booted for refusing to strike requirements about who can lead their groups. University administrators label such requirements discrimination. But the groups say if they're Bible-based, they can't allow people to lead who flout that Bible's authority in areas like
everything from sexual chastity to unteachability or compulsive lying. So they're integrity issues.
Commissioner Kirsanow says it's ironic. Students commenting they feel discriminated against by colleges out to stop discrimination.
The repeated theme that you hear is they're being marginalized. They're, in fact, being affirmatively discriminated against.
But Boston points out if you're going to accept special privileges or aid from a college or government, you have to accept their rules.
If you take aid from the government, and whether that's material aid like money or some type of official stamp of recognition, it's to be expected that there are going to be some regulations and controls accompanying that.
Howe insists some student believers have felt a real sense of discrimination against them.
When your non-discrimination rules are actually excluding students from campus, marginalizing people of faith, we think it's a significant problem.
And Kirsanow points to the HHS mandate as a whole new level of assault on what many Americans feel is their religious liberty, being forced to subsidize contraceptives that can cause abortions.
We now, I think, have gotten to a troublesome critical mass, and the HHS mandate was maybe a flag to let us know, to alert us that we need to be paying greater attention to this.
The U.S. Commission on Civil Rights doesn't have any legislative power, but often does have influence with Congress in shaping civil rights law. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
The Secretary of State is calling on the Iranian government to release imprisoned American pastor Saeed Abedini. John Kerry released a statement saying he is deeply concerned about Abedini's fate, and he's disturbed by reports that he has suffered physical and psychological abuse. In his statement, Kerry said, "I welcome reports that Mr. Abedini was examined by a physician and expect Iranian authorities to honor their commitment to allow Mr. Abedini to receive treatment for these injuries from a specialist outside the prison. The best outcome for Mr. Abedini is that he be immediately released." The American Center for Law and Justice's Jordan Seculo calls this a, quote, game changer in the push for Abedini's freedom. The government is going to monitor more emails and web surfing by people in private businesses. The scanning is being done as a measure to prevent cyber attacks on the U.S. Reuters reports it will include employees at major banks, utilities, and leading transportation companies. The Department of Homeland Security will collect the information. Officials say the surveillance will not violate personal privacy. The federal plan to invade email privacy is sparking action at the state level. In California, one lawmaker has introduced a bill to help protect electronic communications. John Waggy explains.
If law enforcement people want to read your communications by cards and letters, they must get a warrant. But on your computer, it's a different story. If you've already opened your email or the message in your inbox is more than 6 months old, government agencies can look at them.
The courts have said that in some cases, the law is very confusing and has permitted the government to search your emails held by providers without a warrant.
Email privacy got national billing when CIA Director David Petraeus' extramarital affair was discovered with the help of personal emails obtained by the FBI. The scandal forced him to retire. State Senator Mark Leno wants to make sure investigators have to get a subpoena when it comes to searching electronic communications.
All we're saying is you need to go to a court, make the case that there is a reasonable cause to believe that some illegal activity is ongoing.
Leno sponsored a bill last year that passed the legislature even though it was opposed by top wireless providers such as Verizon and AT&T. They claimed communications with law enforcement would cause confusion and would unduly burden wireless providers and employees with multiplied numbers of requests from authorities for information. Police groups were also opposed to it, saying it would slow down criminal investigations. Governor Jerry Brown vetoed the bill. Now, with Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano announcing that the federal government will track personal emails, Leno is trying again for protection at the state level. John Waggy, CBN News.
Coming up, the Texas town at the center of a high school football battle, and all because a group of cheerleaders are not backing down from their faith.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 U.S. gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
From CBN.
Broken Eardrum is playing at the Civic tonight.
And you'll just have to miss it.
This is so incredibly unfair.
A special story of love and sacrifice.
Joy, Mom comes up with something.
Christopher Quantum, you and I are going to discuss your attitude right this minute. Superbook.
No.
Join the Superbook DVD Club and get Superbook's newest episode, He is Risen. Plus 2 copies to share with others. All for your gift of $25.
They have arrested Jesus, the Messiah. Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you?
No! Please! You can't! They've taken him to Golgotha. We must hurry. Mary is about to lose her son. The worst thing any mother could face. I am not leaving her.
Superbook. It's an amazing way to build a strong spiritual foundation in the children you love.
Mary, who are you looking for?
I've seen him! He is alive!
Superbook. He is Risen. Available now.
In North Dakota, lawmakers have passed a bill to protect life starting at conception. The State House approved the measure in a vote of 57 to 35. The State Senate passed the legislation last month. Critics of the Personhood Amendment call it unconstitutional and say it effectively outlaws abortion in the state. They point to the 1973 U.S. Supreme Court decision that legalized abortion until a fetus is considered viable, which is about 22 to 24 weeks. North Dakota voters may likely decide the issue in a November 2014 election. Cheerleaders at an East Texas high school are once again defending the right to display Bible verses at football games. Their stance has earned them some national attention and placed them right in the middle of a heated free speech battle. David Brody traveled to Coons, Texas, where he found overwhelming support for the hometown cheerleaders.
Across the nation, we're known as the best.
The Coons High School cheerleaders may seem like typical teenage girls. In reality, they're anything but. Take a look at these banners the Coons football players run through just before their games. The cheerleaders began writing Bible verses on them last fall. I had a chance to meet up with the team, and I asked them why they boldly decided to put their faith on display.
We're just all Christians, and we believe that the Bible is from God, and so if it's from God, why not? That's what we were thinking. Like, it's a positive message and it's uplifting.
The girls' zeal for God's word was so contagious that it not only inspired their own football team, it caused the opposing teams to want to do the same thing. They also began writing scriptures on their banners. But a national atheist group, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, filed a complaint with the superintendent. They said Bible verses should not be displayed at football games because that basically meant the school was supporting a particular religion. The Texas Association of School Board Lawyers agreed. The cheerleaders said that was a violation of their free speech, and they filed a lawsuit. Their attorney, David Starnes, is working with Liberty Institute on the case.
This case is really all about the rights of students to express their sincerely held religious beliefs at school. The United States Supreme Court said that students do not leave their constitutional rights at the schoolhouse gate.
The case went to court last October, and a judge ruled the cheerleaders could continue to write scriptures on the banners for the rest of the football season. Late last month, the school board brought the issue before the community to hear their opinions. The cheerleaders stood up for their faith once again and received overwhelming support from the local community.
They're good kids. They've been raised right. They know what they believe, and they weren't afraid to stand up and say what they believe and to take whatever came with it.
Koontz is a small town in East Texas, just a few thousand people or so. As a matter of fact, the town's claim to fame is that they are home to the only pair of married armadillos in the entire world. But now, the cheerleaders have replaced those armadillos. Even the Texas governor and attorney general have publicly supported the cheerleaders. The attorney general honored them at a recent banquet, and he told me he is proud of the girls for standing on the founding principles of this country.
When you have the courage of your convictions, you can be a messenger for the entire world. These are girls who one day were cheerleaders, and they were transformed into community leaders. Texas and this country are better and prouder because of them.
What's going on in the school? What is everybody saying in the school? Are you guys like, you guys are like the cool, famous cheerleaders, aren't you?
We're still the same people we always were. I mean, this has just helped our football boys and us come closer to each other. But I mean, everything is still the same at school. We're all still close, and nobody argues. We hardly talk about it anymore.
So for now, the cheerleaders are waiting for their next court date in June to see if they can continue to proclaim God's word at their high school football game. David Brody, CBN News in Koontz, Texas.
Up next, a criminal defense attorney, the former editor of Essence magazine, and a young recording artist. See how all three are paying it forward on behalf of America's children.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
America is facing a crisis, the gradual disappearance of the traditional family. Fathers are vanishing from the picture, and we're seeing more and more single-parent families. But there are people working to turn the situation around, including one leading magazine editor who quit her job to get involved. The nation's crime blotters are packed with examples. In Baltimore, police arrest two 18-year-olds for murder and robbery. In Chicago, officers lock up an 18-year-old and 20-year-old for shooting and killing a 15-year-old girl. And in Albany, 7 people, mostly teenagers, arrested in the stabbing death of a 21-year-old. That's just 3 cases, 11 young suspects, and criminal defense attorney Tim Anderson says most are likely to share one painful reality.
You can see the pattern starting at the very, very beginning stages in these men's lives. You see it in every one of the reports of these people I deal with. No father, no father, no father. A parenting crisis, absolutely.
Some studies suggest 85% of young people in prison come from fatherless homes, and those homes are on the rise. There are more than 12 million single-parent families across the country, with more than 80% of them headed by single mothers.
You can't blame a single mom. If she has 3 kids, she's working 4 jobs to keep her house afloat. Can't blame her. You gotta just try to help as much as you can.
Anderson is helping. He spends most of his weekends with Chad Barnett, a high school senior whose dad is
out of the picture. I've never known him.
When I came into the picture, I was his second mentor and was really the only male in his life.
Nothing is as hard as getting through puberty. Then once you're through that, everything else seems little. So yeah, he's definitely helped me through a lot.
In 5 years, the pair has grown closer than brothers. Chad even works in Tim's law office after school.
Tim probably could have told himself, I don't have the time, but he did make the time for me. And I think for anybody, it's possible to make the time. It's just about how badly you want to help someone.
It's doable, and it's the way that we're really going to change the entire, I think, face of this nation.
Susan Taylor is the former editor of the groundbreaking Essence magazine that's delivered inspiration to millions of Black women. After 37 years, she left that platform to start another, National Cares Mentoring. Its mission? Inspire people to take the time to mentor a child.
80% of Black 4th graders are reading below grade level, and 56% are functionally illiterate. 1 million Black men are incarcerated. And failing schools are the pipeline to prison. So mentors stepping into that space create, oh my gosh, mentoring is just transformative.
National Cares is on the ground in more than 50 cities across the country and growing. We caught up with the team in Baltimore.
Part of what we got to figure out is how do we address the brokenness?
Taking its message specifically to African American men in church.
Speaking life, this is what we go to church for. The minister is group mentoring, is speaking to the congregants for 20 minutes, some for an hour, more, depending on what church you're in, speaking life and hope and possibilities right to our hearts. That's what mentoring is. It's inspiring, it's pushing, it's connecting them to the resources they need, our young.
I remember, being at church and running around the yard.
Jonathan McReynolds is a church mentoring success story. Raised by a single mother in Chicago, New Original Church of God in Christ became his second home.
I had a lot of great, male figures that God, planted in my life that I was still able to look up to my pastor and some godfathers and some uncles, as that father, and together, collectively.
I've never fallen this low before.
That voice may sound familiar. McReynolds recently released his first CD, Life Music. It's climbing the gospel charts.
I remember there were times when my cousin, we would talk, and she's like, "Where's your dad?" And I'm like, I don't know, I don't have one. And I innocently and genuinely meant that. I don't, feel that void, I don't feel that emptiness. And now I look back and I realize, it was nobody but God, being the father to the fathers like He promised He would be.
See, it wasn't meant for me.
While McReynolds travels the world singing songs he's written, he still comes home to Mom, his pastor, and his little Chicago church to serve as a mentor himself.
It's really just for the salt of the earth. First of all, to not lose its saltiness, and that's what a lot of my music is about, is we are here to preserve, and we are here, we have to pray. We have to, give as much of a good influence to these kids.
I'm tired of waiting on cycles to end. So I'll lean on the shoulder that
And stay with us. We're coming right back.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast that it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window, yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
The biblical holiday of Passover begins this evening. Israelis and Jews around the world join in a festive meal to retell the story of the miraculous escape from Egypt thousands of years ago. In Jerusalem on Monday, many Orthodox Jews like Eli Dershowitz symbolically burned the last chametz or leaven in fires throughout the city. They'll eat unleavened bread throughout the 7-day holiday.
It says in the Bible, it says in the Torah that for 7 days to only eat matzah and not eat any chametz. Symbolically, when the Jews left Egypt, they left in a hurry and they weren't able to make their bread. And so the Torah tells us many laws of exactly how it's done. But we, for the whole holiday Passover, we don't eat anything that rises.
The day before Passover, Israeli farmers battled swarms of locusts that crossed the border from Egypt. The timing of the invasion is ironic since locusts are one of the plagues the Bible says God sent on the Egyptians. Earlier this month, Israel's ministries of agriculture started crop dusting to kill off earlier swarms that had invaded southern Israel. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of the CBN News Channel. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And take the time to tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Have a marvelous Monday, everybody.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957. Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. all the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.